So I would like to now underscore that those fungi are studied, researched at the International Space Station, right? Yes. Dr. Schimmer told us today that the major um, barrier or obstacle for us going to Mars is thermonuclear reactions occurring on the sun, and sun emits lots of radioactive particles, some of which we have here in the Chernobyl zone. And even if you opt for the shortest trajectory to Mars, you might suffer from ionizing radiation, and researchers are not yet sure whether this radiation could be lethal for human health. Chernobyl and ISS are very similar in terms of ionizing radiation present in both places, and this should be studied in detail. And it is a gateway to exploration of space and to space research as well. Yes, that would be the engine behind new research, and a lot of young scholars, young researchers focus on outer space. And we know that everything relating to the outer space is extremely popular today. So I understand that in preparation for interstellar flights, for example, we can focus on the Chernobyl zone as a precursor. Yes, I can tell you about the launch, very careful launch of our joint project with the Institute of NPP Safety and European Space Agency. We are now considering the establishment of a laboratory that would focus on the effects of cosmic radiation or outer space radiation on biological objects. But we are at the very nascent stage, at the very beginning of this project. But you can use the body of knowledge available in Ukraine to lean on in this research. Don't you think so? Yes, I think we can. Yes. Yes, why not? But that brings us back to an issue of the lack of the global approach to this development of science in Ukraine, this or cross-disciplinary or multidisciplinary research. So we should understand how to bring various branches of science together. But the situation is like this. All researchers and scholars are convoluted, right? They do not share knowledge approaches, findings. And in many countries, there are fundamental studies, and outer space programs would be based on that fundamental research. And in Ukraine, fundamental science is undervalued. So then, based on fundamental science, outer space programs will be developed. Kevlar material will be developed to protect our soldiers on the contact line, etc. But people here value applied science, but not the fundamental science. And some people joke that there is nothing as applicable as theoretical physics. And that is correct. That's right. And that's what we have to support and use. My research focuses on microbiology and impact of radionuclide contamination on bacteria in the soil and water. And I'm often asked, why should I be studying that? And I then know that streptomycin was discovered thanks to one bacterium that was just found in the soil. So and then the founder or the discoverer was awarded a Nobel Prize. So who does it or what does it depend on? On the government, or can there be non-governmental initiatives? Of course, we need support, including institutional support on the part of the government. So they can open new opportunities to the researchers. But you know that even outer space research is funded privately by corporations. So why can't we attract investment from some private funds to support research within and outside the confinement facility? Yeah, I think that this has a huge promise for applied studies. So if you think of the lab of your dream in the exclusion zone, what would it look like? It should be a wholesale or closed cycle lab. It should be a place where you can take sample, process them, and it's not you who processes the samples, but a sampling expert does that. So the Chernobyl science is very complex and multi-dimensional. One might say, what's difficult in taking a sample or in sampling some materials? But in fact, it is linked to lots of red tape, lots of paperwork, etc. And only after will you get some first data, some raw data, and that's even not yet research. It's just the raw material for the research. So when we speak about the Chernobyl lab, so there should be people who make the sampling, those who process samples, those who work with animals in different territories. And we start with microscope and Garyaev chamber, and then we work with very sophisticated equipment. But contemporary biology, contemporary science is expensive. A good microscope costs $25,000, but you will also have to buy reagents, you will have to buy the video camera, and you will have to get an expert who will be working with that microscope. Yeah, we have to think about the human resources. Students should have their field work there in the exclusion zone. Young scholars should go to the exclusion zone. You will know that the Chernobyl science started with physics, and now we have more ethnographers, ethnologists, culture science and anthropology scientists. So the patterns change and the trends change, but unfortunately, young researchers look westward. They dream of migrating to some other countries, and we have to make the Chernobyl science popular within Ukraine, so that this cohort of very qualified researchers that we've got here in Ukraine could educate, raise new generations of scientists and researchers. And it's very our actually paths to the Chernobyl science vary extremely. So we should share our own practices of that. If I may ask you about some practical things. I understand that we've got this cadre of researchers who can train students, but is there interest on the part of the younger audience?
Справді набагато
Look,
гірше.
the situation is a bit worse, much worse, in fact. We have few professors. The majority of those people worked at the liquidation stage. They died and are still dying. People with great experience. They are researchers, they are great managers, and they just cease to exist. They pass away. And this is not something we can solve like that snap. This is an immediate issue. We have now 30 years. A person dies, a school of thought dies out, because you cannot just make it up, and you cannot come and say, I'm doing this. You need some supporters and support. In fact, in science, we have people who are just fervent supporters of that science. They are enthusiasts, and they do that exactly as enthusiasts. And there's this high quality, and this is the situation when Chernobyl is not a place where we do science. This is a resource where we do that and for somebody else, because we just arrange the site. You can sell raw materials or add the value. We do not add any value. We just sell the raw material. We deal in raw material. We have raw material mangas. This is bad for the country. This is to the detriment of our image as a country. I would like to say that yes, indeed, we can discuss this from different angles, but it is not that bad. And indeed, we have some problems, but there are other scientific groups of researchers who are still active, and very much so. They enjoy it. So just you have to work because you have to work, and we had that joke that Ukraine. In Ukraine, something has not died. This is an indirect quotation from the anthem of Ukraine. So something is still available in Ukraine. And for me, I think Beautiful Minds represents a resource, a natural resource in its own right. We know the liquidators who survived, the survivors, and you can actually charge people with this optimism. It's contagious, it's infectious. Part of the researchers who participated in liquidation are now passing away. Just how important or unimportant the fact is that there's this harm, there's this danger. It's about radioactive safety. For some people who reside in the zone, it is not that's safe. For us, it's less dangerous. You have to respect, treat Chernobyl with respect. And this is difficult territory for research. This is very difficult subject matter. You have to invest a lot of intellectual work. You have to understand local limitations. But there are many stereotypes where you should go, where you shouldn't. And among us girls in Chernobyl, what do you do here? You perhaps have some other plans. We have our career plans. We're all optimistic. Though we discussed some painful topics, but without this faith, belief, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be there. We have masters under postgraduates, master degree students, PhD degree students following us. You need 3 jobs to afford such a research. 5. I have 3. I have 3. 3 is more manageable. And then you can continue your research in Chernobyl. But we are still there, regardless. And the science is done, and we believe that it can be done. It needs to be continued. So this is the optimistic note to conclude this discussion. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, for this unbelievable panel. Talking about Chernobyl, science is the future for Chernobyl. And if we can use lessons learned in Chernobyl in our research, if we can use some the heritage of this event of Chernobyl as a place, we can then use it for colonization of Mars. I think it would be very good because any kind of loss should be compensated. Any damage should be repaired. And thank you for being there. Thank you for talking about science, doing science. There's this public called Chernobyl Insight in the social media. You have to read it in plain Ukrainian about this. We have the mobile app called Chernobyl, and we always try to use first-hand experience and opinions, and we strongly recommend the same to you. So please approach our experts, and the experts should network, of course.